I felt this like stop in my life. Like I felt like my life just stopped and completely just cut off. And I was looking at myself like through third person almost. I felt like I just life is just fake almost. My life was just not real. I would like do stuff with my hands, pick up stuff and everything, and I just didn't feel like I was doing it. Felt like almost like a robot.
Hey everyone, I'm Sean O'Connor, author of the Depersonalization Manual, and today I'm speaking with Ethan Cabrera from San Francisco. Ethan is 21 years old and had quite a frightening experience with depersonalization disorder, which lasted for about 8 months. But thankfully, he has since made a full recovery. And Ethan is with us today to tell us about his experience with and recovery from depersonalization disorder. Ethan, you're very welcome to the channel. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Sean. It's great to be here.
Pleasure. Ethan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm of course, like Sean said, I'm Ethan. From San Francisco, California. I'm 21 years old. I currently work full time for a family company. And yeah, it's great to be here. Great to talk about my experience, help people out. So yeah.
Sure. Are you studying at the moment or college or anything?
Yes, I am. I'm currently in university for landscape. So I'm currently, trying to get the much, but as trying my best to get my master's degree. So yeah,
Ethan, can you tell us a little bit about your experience with DP and DR and how did it start for you?
sure. So my whole experience was kind of off. Like it was like now in hindsight, understanding what I've been through, it's kind of hard to really look back. I really don't remember all that much, but how it started was I remember just going through day to day, going through work, coming back from school, coming back from whatever it is I'm doing, and having this overwhelming anxiety. Having it was just like a bunch of anxiety. That's how I remember it. A lot of anxiety. I've always had anxiety my whole entire life, but it was never this hard. It was never really this bad. So it was just I was wondering, I was concerned a little bit, but at the same time, wasn't too worried about it. It's just anxiety. So um so day after day it just kind of got worse. I felt more anxiety. I felt like just not wanting to do anything. I felt like just being in my bed and just laying there and just not thinking about anything. So um a couple weeks after that, I still kept having anxiety, and I was just going through work, of course, and then all of a sudden I was going through my driveway from work, and I felt this like stop in my life. Like I felt like my life just stopped and completely just cut off, and I was looking at myself like through third person almost. Um, and I was in my driveway just like completely just in shock. I didn't know what to do. I was like, so I pretended like nothing was happening. I went inside, just calm as could be, but inside I'm like freaking out. What's going on? Um, and also just a side note, till this day, I really don't understand what caused my DPDR. I really don't know. Like some people have it through marijuana, some people have it through just a bad experience with something. I really don't know. I think it might be just like constant buildup of anxiety, but I really don't have a clear answer. I felt like I just life is just fake almost. My life was just not real. Um, and that day I went to bed thinking that it would go away. I didn't really care that much. I was like, something's going on, but I'm sure it will not be in the morning. And of course, that didn't happen. And I woke up that the next day, just what is going on? I don't understand what's going on. And progressively, it just got worse, worse, and worse. I felt like walking and doing things, and being in work just didn't seem real. I didn't like. I would like do stuff with my hands, you know, pick up stuff and everything, and I just didn't feel like I was doing it. I felt like almost like a robot. Like like my arms are completely like automated. It's very odd. Um but yeah, that's generally just how it started for me.
There's often a misperception that like DPDR can only happen because of a lightning strike moment where you have
Mhm.
like you massive panic attack because you had a really bad weed experience, or or there's something specific happened that caused it. Like, but I mean, it's not uncommon at all for people for it to happen as the result of like accumulated anxiety over time, because ultimately it's the same thing. Like, I mean, if the anxiety is happening because you're having a really bad drug experience, or if it's like anxiety that has kind of accumulated and stresses have accumulated over time, and ultimately it comes to the same thing, which is your body and brain saying, kind of just deciding that like this is a bit too much and we need to go to DEFCON 1. And what if you're in danger, we need to put on all the alarm systems going. So whether that is a kind of an immediate thing or a long-term build-up, it can still lead to the same condition. But it's certainly a scary experience
Yeah.
when you're just in your driveway, and there's no danger around, nothing
Yeah.
bad is happening, and then suddenly you're just like absolutely freaking out, and the world no longer looks real. It's a quite a
Absolutely.
scary experience. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Ethan, can you tell us a little bit more about specifically the symptoms you experienced in that time?
Sure. So I had like two kinds of symptoms. One were physical and the other were like emotional slash like psychological. The physical symptoms, I remember having a lot of headaches, a lot of like tension headaches around my head, a bunch of neck pain, a lot of just like pains around like my head, shoulders, neck. I'm not sure if that was just, purely just stress and anxiety or just, from work. But I've also heard that a lot of people with anxiety also experience these similar types of headaches. So that was definitely the majority of my physical symptoms. Also fatigue. I felt like, of course, just being in bed, just not like absolutely no energy at all. Um, and just extremely sleepy, of course. Yeah. Also, and in terms of like psychological symptoms, I remember just really bad memory loss. I remember just horrible memory loss. I would go out my house, forget my keys, forget my wallet, forget my phone, like but it was almost on like a day-to-day basis. Like it's normal for people to do it, every once in a while, but for me to do it almost every day is kind of like it was almost weird. It was ridiculous. Um and yeah, like I started noticing things like that. Like I just wouldn't remember anything at all. It was really weird. Um, Also feeling like it's in terms of DPDR symptoms, feeling like I wasn't there, feeling like I might disappear out of thin air, feeling like um, just life was just not what it is anymore. Um, Also that people refer to as almost like being in the matrix, like you're not real essentially, and like there's a life, a different life how it is. That's also how I felt. Um, and yeah, like all these things that DPDR sufferers say, it definitely is. That's how it definitely feels. But in terms of symptoms, that's the majority of how they are. Yeah.
Did you have any visual symptoms, Ethan?
Yes, I did. So I remember just almost feeling like I was like tunnel vision. Just like everything around my like peripheral vision was just not there. Like I was just seeing what's in front of me. It was just uh very odd. Also, like I also would see a lot of floaters. A lot of people experience floaters, but for me, like I would notice them a lot more. Like I was like, oh, like why do I have so much? I would have so many questions. It was just really, really, really scary.
I can certainly relate to those symptoms, and I think a lot of people with DPDR or who've ever had it can can relate as well. The memory thing is really frustrating. But I have those types of situations as well where like I would like walk out of the house and forget my car keys or something, and then I'd be just like, what? How could I possibly have forgotten my car keys? I come in, get the car keys. Like in the meantime, panicking that I'm losing my short-term memory, and then I walk out. Then I walk out to the car and realize that I left my jacket inside the house. And then, but the reason I left my jacket inside the house was because I was focusing on panicking about the car keys, and then that kind of leads to something else because you're just not in the normal flow of I'm going to the car, I get my car keys, I get the jacket, I get my phone. It's just like, oh, what if I forget this? Am I losing my memory? And it becomes a kind of a self-fulfilling thing if you're just not like focused on which you don't even normally think about. You're just okay, check your wallet, check your phone, get the car keys. But if you're thinking, how much DP am I feeling? Will I be able to? What happens if I can't start the car? What happens if I crash the car? What happens if and then all of the normal kind of stuff of the day-to-day moving from the house to the car kind of gets lost. But then we panic that it means that we're losing our memories, and it becomes a very frightening experience. But once you get the distance of recovery from it, the distance from it that you get with recovery, you look back at it and you say, well, the reason I kept forgetting these things day after day was because my thoughts were racing all the time. and when you're when your body is in the fight or flight response, it kind of deprioritizes things like remembering your car keys, because it's essentially saying, are you sure you're not in danger though? Are you sure there's not a wild animal waiting for you outside or whatever, but certainly a scary experience when we're going through it first.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so what was it like kind of in terms of socializing, Ethan, and kind of being with your family or working, things like that? How was that with the symptoms of DPDR? Did you just push through it, or did you kind of start avoiding things, or what was that like?
At the beginning, I definitely started just going through life just as if I didn't have it. Yeah, but once like my symptoms progressed, just feeling even more anxiety, like having anxiety over like my health, like it was almost really hard to work and just not just forget about everything I've had. So yeah, I stopped working for about a couple weeks, I think 2 weeks, just to really understand what I'm going through and just to really understand what this is really. I really didn't know what it is. So but once I found out, I noticed that this is something that might last a while, so I might as well just go back to work and push through as much as I can and be distracted, of course.
Yeah, that's a really good really really good attitude to have about it, especially when like finding out what it is. Because I mean, so what happened to me was when I found out what it was, I was really happy, but then I found out that there was no kind of like definite time on when I'd recover, and that really freaked me out. But I kind of, for me, I like completely lost like the motivation to be at work. Not even the motivation, but I was too like filled with anxiety to keep working at the time, and I moved home with my parents and things. So for you to kind of like have the wherewithal to say, okay, well, I need to keep my mind focused on work, is really that's very admirable. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your lowest point in the whole experience? I mean, was there a particular time or experience that kind of sticks with you?
Yeah, definitely. I remember having a lot of bad experiences, but the worst one was definitely towards the end. I went to a vacation with my girlfriend, and it was in Los Angeles. We planned to go to Los Angeles for a while and just enjoy the city. But the day before, I just I was like packing and stuff, and I just got hit with this like existentialism, like the fear of like the world and fear of like the universe just like suddenly just came like it's a problem for me. Um yeah, and I remember going through the trip just completely just like and full of fear of just existentialism, like the world, the universe, just this like I felt like I was gonna like disappear out of nowhere. It was very odd. It was really weird. And I just didn't want to get out of the hotel. I didn't want to go out and just enjoy the city, enjoy the trip that we planned. It was just like really just horrible. It was such a horrible experience. Like, and it lasted the whole trip too. So there was like no point of just, there was like no point where I was like, oh, this is okay. But no, um, it was horrible. Yeah. That whole experience, like, it was just really bad. And, yeah, like I said, it was about existentialism. A lot of people that suffer from DPDR understand that, like um, like the like how big the world is, like the sky, and then like the universe. It just like seems extremely like scary to you. Like you feel like almost insignificant. It's just yeah, it's just really odd.
Yeah, yeah. It's I had a very similar experience as well, Ethan. It was when I went to a family wedding in
Hmm.
Scotland, so I had to go traveling. So I got on a plane, and it was still at the point where I didn't quite understand what was happening or how to do about it, and it was awful. I was absolutely riddled with anxiety. I was panicking all the time. I couldn't speak to people. I just wanted to be like in a
Hmm.
room with the curtains closed. But
Yeah.
what's really interesting as well is that like is all this the similarities. So even though the symptoms are feel so strange, the similarities between them from person to person are incredibly similar. So like
Right.
for example, so the worry that you're going to disappear is like, I mean, because I had the exact same thing. Like which like it's so common. So would you believe, Ethan? I literally made a short film called Disappear, like
Oh,
about yeah, right, about a guy who, because I work in film as well, but I made a short film about a guy who thinks he's going to disappear, and he's talking to his psychiatrist about it, and she's trying to convince him it's not. But like, I mean, when I was going through that first, I was thinking to myself, well, this is like the weirdest thought that anybody's ever had, you know?
right.
And in
Definitely.
and yeah, and in the years since then, I've spoken to when I speaking to people with depersonalization, like and like the amount of times that you hear people saying like not just that exactly, but things are just similar to that is it's amazing, like but it kind of it makes the whole experience like less fearful and imposing when you kind of understand that even with the most frightening, bizarre seeming thoughts that you know, like a lot of people have had them already, and
Definitely.
they've even made short films about them, Um, but so that would have been your lowest point, Ethan. So at what point did your recovery start? Can you tell us a little bit about how that process began for you?
Yeah. So it was shortly after the trip that I noticed that I just became, a little more like less caring of the things I was fearful about. Um, and this was a time like, I was trying everything. I was like really working on myself. I was, taking a little bit of medicine to help with anxiety. I was going out a lot. I was really trying everything to just stop and just to help myself. I was almost like it's almost like a desperation, really. I was just willing to try anything. Of course, I got bought your manual. It was extremely helpful. And I was doing all the things that you said in the manual, and it was clearly it worked. So, um, yeah, like it was just like a progression of just like working, um, as well as I was going back to school, so I had school on my mind. So I was just really busy, essentially. Like I was trying my best to be extremely busy. Um, and of course, I had no time to think about, the fears I've had, the fears DPDR comes with. So I just made myself extremely busy. I was never home really. Um, And I've noticed, and then I started to notice that, like, wow, like I didn't think about it today, or like I didn't feel like I thought I was watching myself do things today. So once that started, once I felt that, and like at the end of the day, I was like, wow, like it didn't happen today. So, and then I remember, like, if it didn't happen for this long, I could it potentially just make it happen, not happen forever. So I started, like I said, just doing all those things, and I just felt constantly just better, and just, back to my original self, almost like I was going coming back to where I was in life.
Yeah, that's great.
Mm.
And when you say school, you mean this is a college, university, or?
Correct. Yeah, I was going to university for landscape. Um,
Mm,
so I was preparing to go to the back to their university. So, yeah.
great, great.
Mm.
Um, it's something that is it's not too commonly kind of talked about, but it's something that is still a part of people's experience. Like, but just in terms of your like discussing the condition with your girlfriend, for example, like so people often kind of wonder like what's it like for somebody's loved one to go through that experience. Because often we'll talk about like trying to explain it to our parents or our families, but like when you're in a relationship, and you're going through something that is very difficult to explain, but they're trying to help you and they're trying to kind of work with you through it. Yeah, can you tell us a bit about how that was? I mean, did it affect your? If you don't mind me asking, did it affect your relationship, or did you was it something that you were able to kind of work together on and push through?
Absolutely. So, my girlfriend, she's been with me this entire time. She's helped me a ton. She was like one of the main people, along with my parents, to like really just like help me through the experience. So, I thank her the most. But it was definitely hard at times, of course. Um, there was times where I just didn't want to go anywhere. Like I was just stayed in bed and just lie for a while. And yeah, and of course, she would push me as well. She would, like, you need to get up, you need to go to work, you need to go back to school, you need to do all these things.
Mm,
And of course, I didn't want to. I just want to be in bed and just not do anything, and rather be inside in the comfort of my home. So yeah, like she definitely helped me a lot, and I think her a lot. Um, and of course, my relationship with my parents was amazing as well. They helped me through the everything. So um, it was definitely one of those experiences with my girlfriend. My relationship was um, that was like the most like helpful to me. Yeah, like out of all the things that I was working with, all the things I was trying to help myself with, she was definitely one of the ones that helped me the most. So yeah, I'm really glad.
that's great. That's great. It's so important to have supportive people around you when you're going through something like this. And it's lovely to have people who kind of can sympathize as well. I mean sympathize in terms of just like if you're going through a difficult time, but if you've got someone like who really pushes you as well, who kind of kicks your ass a little bit and is like, nah, listen,
Definitely.
you're not you're we've got plans today. You're not lying around in bed. That's
Mhm.
actually, it just kind of it wrenches the attention away from the anxiety, and well, we got plans, we got stuff to do today, so we're going to go and do them. Yeah, that's really really
Absolutely.
good to hear. Yeah.
Mhm.
um so your actual recovery, Ethan, so
Mhm.
like getting back to normal, what did actually kind of getting back to normal feel like? So what you mentioned that like you started to have days where you felt like at the end of the day you thought, oh, I didn't really feel that much today, and yeah, it's kind of I'm not noticing it as much. But the actual then getting back to complete recovery, what was that like?
Yeah, so I explained it a little bit, but that's how it began. Noticing that I just wasn't really caring about all these things. And also, I remember one day I was just feeling a lot of just like, just um, like depersonalization, like, just not being there, essentially. And I remember just like at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? Like, if this is how life is gonna be, then I might as well just with it. Like, I was just like, I was honestly, it was like the point of just like really just not caring. I was just like, it's whatever at this point. I'm just not gonna just think about it. It's if something happens or if like I suddenly just disappear, like, that's whatever. Just that's like that was like a really bad mindset, but at the same time, it works a little bit. Um, but that's just how like I started, and I was just not caring. I was like, you know what, this is just annoying. I'm just gonna just go day by day. Like I just can't stop my life just because of this. So that's another mindset. If people want to like recover, that's one I recommend. But yeah, that's how it started, and of course, and then through the new years, of course, through 2023, I started getting a little better, just not caring, going back to work, going back to school, of course. And suddenly it just progressively just got worse to the point where I just didn't like, there was some days I just forgot I even had it. I would just be so busy. I didn't realize. So that was definitely the recovery. Um, and till this day, I still have a little bit, some, uh, tweaks here and there of just, feeling DPDR. But of course, it goes away in an instant. Um, so yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, that's great to hear. It's and really, really interesting what you're saying about the thing of just accepting it. I mean, that is part of recovery from anxiety. Is just you kind of have to accept that like this isn't just a light switch that you can flick off. I mean, like you'll get there, but you'll but for the moment you just kind of have to accept that this thing is here and it's annoying, but it's not going to hurt you. It's not going to turn into
Right.
anything worse. And it's like when you once you kind of put it into that, once you categorize it like something that I've accepted, it'll go away eventually. I've accepted it, and then it kind of stops being something that was absolutely terrifying, and then it kind of becomes something that's just, as you said, it's just annoying.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like, yeah, it's just like distracting you when you're trying to watch the movie or trying to read the book or whatever. um but that's a very it's very, very positive, because it feels so counterintuitive. Like it feels like, when you have a thought that says something like, "Oh, what if you disappear?" Like from an anxious point of view, that sounds like that. Jesus, that's
Yeah,
terrifying. Like,
yeah.
what if I disappear? Could that happen? Oh my God, that's horrendous. And then from a non-anxious point of view, if someone says like, "What if I disappear?" It's like, "But sure, what are you talking about?" You
Yeah, yeah,
can't disappear. Like you can't
absolutely.
disappear. We've got like we're going to the cinema at 7:30. You can't disappear.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it just kind of becomes a gag. Like, it's but it's absolutely fascinating to see how our opinion of the
Mhm.
condition goes from being terrified of it to annoyed by it to forgetting about it completely.
Yeah.
It's a really, really, really positive thing. Um, so and Ethan, how was the DP manual helpful in your recovery?
Yeah. So um it was helpful in so many ways. I remember when I bought it, of course, I read through or listened to the whole thing. And your whole entire story, of course. And the main thing that helped me was just like um this feeling of like knowing someone else went through the same experience, or even worse. Um uh it's just like this comforting feeling knowing that, like, this person recovered and went through an extremely hard experience, and they they took the steps to become better. And I felt like, wow, like this could definitely be me. So it definitely gave me this sense of comfort and this sense of hope that I will become better. um and as well as all like the things you said to help, a lot of the things I done before, and also a lot of the things you said also just gave me reassurance. I remember one of them that really stuck out to me was, you were like, a lot of people with DPDR see floaters or like things in the sky a lot, and I was like I was like, oh my god, like Like I felt like the sense of like, wow, like he really understands how it really is. Um, and I was just like amazed. I remember just like telling my mom, I was like, look, oh my God, like this person went the exact same experience as I did. And I was like, and I was just like in shock for a bit. But that was definitely like extremely helpful. Um, also, I remember it was like this thing where like uh like you would play while you're sleeping. It's like this, I forgot what it was called, but it was like this little
Oh,
it was
the
like this
relaxation program.
right, the relaxation program, right.
Yeah,
Um I would play that a lot during, during going to sleep, either taking a nap from work or something, and that really helped as well. I really enjoyed that. And it was really comforting knowing that like just this whole experience is going to be fine at the end of the day. So that definitely was useful. Um, but yeah, overall, it was, a lot of tips I've got, a lot of great advice that helped me for my recovery. So thank you.
that's great. Delighted to hear it. I'm delighted to hear it was so helpful. So now that you've recovered, Ethan, what's your day-to-day life like? Is getting normal actually getting back to normal?
Yeah. So getting normal, I felt like, so I've had it for around 8 months, 8 to 9 months. And I remember like as soon that day when I went up to my driveway, and my life just stopped. I felt like that day from like now was just paused. Like my whole life was just on pause. And ever since then, like until now, like I play like press resume on the movie. Like I am now living my life. Like it's super weird, but that's how it is. That's how my experience is. Like I just resumed my life like how I did before, like in October. But in terms of day-to-day life, I'm still going back to work, going back to school, of course. Um, uh, Going on more trips. I've been on two more trips ever since the one in Los Angeles, and I've noticed that my experience was like 90%, 95% like better, completely better. So that was definitely, a realization that I am better. It's definitely, definitely a lot better. I see life in a different way. I appreciate life a lot more, 100%. Um, I appreciate like, the people around me, my friends, my family, my girlfriend, of course. And I feel like I appreciate them a lot more. Like just going through life day to day, like I'm more grateful, I guess. Mhm,
That's great. That's great.
mhm.
Um, Ethan, there's going to be people watching the channel today who might be going through the same thing that you went through, especially at the start of the experience. What advice would you have for people suffering with DPDR?
Yeah. So the advice I give them is just my main thing was be around friends and family. Um, I feel like for me, being around friends and family, realize that life is real. Life is, exactly how it is. Nothing is wrong with it. Seeing my friends, laughing and stuff, seeing my parents, just like going out, doing stuff. Like I feel like that was the most like realization that like, life is real, life is good, and nothing's gonna happen essentially. So I recommend going with your friends. Laughter to me was also a really good like remedy for anyone. If you want to like um just enjoy and just stay like out of DPDR, I recommend doing something funny and going to a movie, going to with your friends, laughing, just enjoying life essentially. Just um do not think about DPDR. It's like try to stay away from it. Do stuff, keep busy a lot. Like if you find yourself like just in your bed or like in your room, just not doing anything, just go do something. That's my recommendation. Definitely just go do something. It like keep distracted as much as you can. Um, like I said, also the mindset, having that mindset of just not caring. Um, it's kind of like a one. like a two-way street. It's kind of like it definitely helps, but at the same time, like that mindset is just kind of like it's not the best mindset to have, but it definitely did work for me. Just not caring, just this is something that's going to happen for you for a while, so you might as well just go to work and just forget about it. Of course, um, get off of forums as well. Get off of like Reddit, things like that, that will tell you, um, about, because I feel like if you have DPDR, you already know what it is. There's not much more that you could research about. So I recommend just getting off of forums. Like you already know what you have, so you might as well just enjoy life and just get off of it. Because I feel like there's also a lot of like people that like embrace it. Um, like say, oh, I've had DPDR for like 20 plus years or like 8 plus years, and it's kind of like a mindset that's just like it's just not good to have. Like you're seeing that constantly, seeing like that, that you people have had it for a while, it just makes you feel worse. It makes you feel like you're gonna have it for longer. So I recommend just definitely just get off of any forum and just, be in the present moment.
Ethan, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your experience with the channel. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are going to watch this and find this very inspirational and motivational. Yeah, it's been great speaking with you, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Sean. It was a great pleasure to be here and speak, my experience and everything. So thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, great to meet you. Take care.
Take care. Bye.